Well, welcome to this class of Educational Research o Metodología de la Investigación, por su nombre original en español. But since we are doing this class for future English teachers, we're doing the effort to record the basic videos of the content that we're going to be reviewing during this semester using these short clips that are going to be the base of the main topics that we're going to be discussing in each class. So today, the first class is introduction. We're going to talk about, in general, what is the meaning of research in the educational field. For this class, you were supposed to do a couple of assignments before coming to or watching the video. And then we are going to have a discussion during your scheduled time in class. That's going to include you to watch this video. And then I'm going to ask you to read and post a reflection about the meaning of educational research, okay, in a forum that I'm going to post in the EVA platform. So to start today, we're going to be reflecting and thinking about what is educational research. And for this, I ask you to follow a link, okay, and answer. What do you think? What is the meaning for you of educational research? After you answer this question, following this link that I post in EVA platform, we are going to have like a word cloud like this that has like the main concepts that you may think of the meaning of educational research. So we're going to review these concepts, the main concepts, based on your answers, okay? This is a word cloud from previous years that I just wanted to show you as an example. But during class, we're going to see the word cloud that was generated by your own answers, okay? Now, if you want to think in a definition of educational research, we can follow this idea, this proposal, okay? Educational research is a process of steps used to collect and analyze information in order to increase our knowledge about a topic or issue. And it's going to consider to post a question, to collect data about your question, and then analyze to try to answer the first question. Okay, so that's the basic definition about the meaning of educational research. And here I want that we think on this word, a process. Okay, we have to think on educational research as this process, and we're going to implement the process during this class, and then when you take the next course that you have to take with a method, that is a seminario de investigación, okay, that you're going to continue with the process. Okay, so I'm going to explain you a couple of things so you can make sense of what you are doing in this class and how you continue with the work that you start this semester with the following semester with your thesis. Now, as I was saying, educational research is a process. And as a process, it has different steps. And I like this way to represent it by John Creswell because it shows you the different steps that you're going to be following when you have to perform your own research as a part of your thesis, okay? And this process has 8 steps. Okay, it starts with identifying a research problem, reviewing the literature, then trying to specify a purpose or the main objective, what you really want to do in your research, choosing a research design, then selecting participants, collecting data, analyzing data, and then you have to report your results and draw your conclusions and disseminate your research. During this course and then the thesis, you are going to go through all these 8 steps, okay? And during this semester, we're going to work from step number 1 to step number 4. Like we're doing like half of this process, okay? And you finish here with a research proposal. That idea that you continue with that and you continue in your thesis, and then you continue with collecting the data and analyzing the data, and you continue with the process. So you are going to transit all through these 8 steps and ideas that you that we review each one of these during this class, okay, and this semester. Okay, so we're going to have classes specifically to understand what is a research problem. Then we will have a couple of classes about literature review. We have another class about how we post a question and a hypothesis, how you can, or what different components you need to consider when you try to write your own research objectives and research questions. Okay, so we're going to see this graphic organizer many times during this class because it basically shows us the track that you are going to follow during this semester and the following semester when you take your thesis. Now, before introducing and thinking about the different steps that are considered in this educational research process, we need to think and we need to differentiate the difference between these two concepts. And why I always take a minute to reflect on this, because when we think and we talk about educational research, we want that the work that we are doing is based on what we know as science. Okay, we don't want to don't work with enough rigor that our results doesn't have any value. Okay, and to have results that are that the educational community can recognize, we have to follow that steps. Okay, and if we don't do some of those, we can do something that we call pseudoscience. Okay, basically pseudoscience are in different fields that looks like we are doing science, but they don't follow the whole process that I was showing you. And I want to reflect on this because to do a good educational researcher, we need to try to follow the steps. We need to have to do it with rigor. And also that can ensure us that the results are going to be recognizable with the different people working in the same area. Okay, so the difference between science and pseudoscience, okay, and to see that, I ask you also to do an activity, and I post in that activity in EVA platform, and you have to sort between different areas of knowledge. Some of them are very easy to identify as science type of activities. But others I'm sure that you have to think twice in a couple of them if it's more into science or pseudoscience. So for example, and here I'm going to show you the correct answers. Probably you already saw that if you did the activity. So the biology, psychology, astronomy, anthropology are different fields that we identify as science. They use the scientific method, okay, that is part of the process that I was showing you, to come out with the results. There are many different activities that doesn't follow the whole steps of the process, okay? And if that happen, we can identify those activities as pseudoscience. They are not enough, they doesn't have enough rigor to be considered as science. And here we have the numerology, the homeopathy, parapsychology, astrology, chiromancy, graphology, ufology. And I think I have one more here. That is science. That is quantum mechanics. That is the study of what happens inside the small particles, the atoms. Okay. If you have you're not clear of what is the meaning of many of these, you can Google it, and you are going to see that they doesn't follow the whole steps that I was showing you as the science, the process of educational research. To go deeper on this reflection, basically the main difference between what we consider as science and pseudoscience is that the fields that follow the scientific method are going to have this rationale. There's some perceptions. You see things around you, okay? That's your perceptions, okay? And with that, you can have or post a question, okay, to explain your perceptions. Then to try to answer that question, you used to gather some information that we understand, or we use the word data, okay? With that, we analyze, we reflect on what happened with that, and we determine an answer, okay? That process of collecting the data, analyzing the data, coming out with some conclusions are going to model what we believe about our perceptions, okay? In pseudoscience, if you see here the difference, if this is all the way around, okay? Beliefs comes first, okay? And based on what I believe, okay, I can see some data, some proofs that are going to support my belief, okay? But that beliefs are going to determine the perceptions, okay? For example, and I think a good example of this is I believe there is life out of the earth, okay? That Martians, for example, exist. I believe on that, but I don't have any proof. But anyways, I believe that there's people, or there's any type of life living in Mars, okay? So because I believe, I don't need the proof, okay? That's going to determine my perceptions. So if I see, I don't know, some shadows, some kind of a specific something that looks like a construction based on the pictures that we have from Mars, I'm going to prove my belief, but I don't have like the specific data to prove my beliefs. So if we think on science and pseudoscience as the process that I was showing you, the most classical way to see this process is the scientific method, okay? And basically the scientific method has these 5 steps. you observe, based on your observation, you come up with a hypothesis or a research question. You take some data, and based on the data, and that's why this is a kind of cycle here. Okay, your data that we call you make some experiments, you collect them, you analyze them, and you do this many times to see if the results are consistent. They have some consistent in different scenarios or different participants. Okay, so you have to prove this and see if there's enough or the results are going to be repeated many times. Okay, with that you're able to come up with a theory, and then that theory can become a law. That's the basic steps of the scientific method. The problem with pseudoscience is that they skip some steps, basically the experimentation and theory. So based on what you observe, the perceptions that I was telling you before, they come up with a hypothesis. Okay, if I see something moving in the sky that I can explain, that means that probably there's life from other planets. Okay, that's my hypothesis. But I don't need to experiment, to have proof, and to follow these steps. I just, based on my own perceptions, I'm going to model my beliefs, and I'm going to determine what I want to believe about that. Okay, so that's the problem when we don't follow all the steps that are needed to come up with good answers to those questions. Here's a very interesting chart that compares the main characteristics of what we understand with science and pseudoscience. And you can review that in detail. I'm going to leave that presentation in the EVA platform. But there's a couple of interesting observations here. Okay. For example, this one properly considers all evidence and arguments in science. Okay, but in pseudoscience, there are some picks, cherry picks they call here. Okay, that only favorable evidence relies on testimonials or weak evidence. You see, it doesn't have enough rigor to prove that results are consistent. Okay, science can change as long as we find new evidence. Okay, and that's how science work. Okay, it doesn't work like if we find or we have a discovery, it's going to stay the same through the time. Okay, based on new evidence or new techniques or new possibilities that we have, we can start like modeling that basic knowledge. Okay, but pseudoscience used to be more dogmatic. Okay, is the way it is, and we'll have to really question that. So more about the scientific method. Okay, here's another way to represent it. You post a question, you do some background research. Okay, that basically means that we want to study something that I'm interested in researching about. It's very important that I read about that. Okay, that you do some literature review about what we know about that specific topic. Okay, based on that, we're able to construct a good hypothesis because we know what we already how we understand that topic, and we can able to post a question that probably is going to contribute to the area that is related with that topic. So with that, you test with an experiment, you analyze the results, and then you check if your hypothesis was true or false. Okay. Again, this is the most basic way to represent the scientific method. In social science, many times we don't really test hypotheses, okay, because we have different designs, okay, but basically this is the way that it works in different fields, okay. Then we report the results. If we find that what we thought initially, we didn't have enough evidence to prove it, well, we can do it again, okay, and try a different way, try different options to test your hypothesis. So to finish with this reflection about the meaning of educational research, I want to show you again this process. Okay, like I tell you, we're going to be working in all these steps during this semester, and also it's going to be part of your thesis next semester. Okay, and we're going to use whole class time to discuss many of these steps that are involved in educational research. So with that, that's the end of this first video. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Bye-bye.